Okay, good afternoon, folks. I hope everyone had a great weekend and ready for some trading. So, I'll have a talk about one of my accounts shortly when we get a few more in. So, it is the 28th. Wow, I can't believe we're nearly in June already. Unbelievable. So, market opens in just under 2 minutes. So, let's see how we get on today. So, let's have a look. So I'm not sure whether there is something larger working there. In fact, I've just reloaded my historic and it's just moved a little bit. We seem to be following that line, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. So I hope everyone had a great weekend and back ready for business. We have got some high impact news coming up around about 3 o'clock UK time. So we keep an eye on that. Okie dokie. Right, let's see how we get on today. So we do seem to be stuck in a bit of a range, whether we're going to have a drop down or not. Okay, market is due open in around about 30 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on this. So yeah, as I was saying, we got a touch, 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 we got a touch. We're getting multiple touches up this line, so whether it's anything to be aware of or not, I'm not so sure. So let's see how we get on anyway. So I'm trading half my accounts on the ES and I'm just trading one account on the CL as well. Okay, market is open. Cha-ching. Okay. I have a feeling this is going to break out the bottom here. We've pushed down, had multiple touches up here. It's just a thought anyway, so we'll see how we get on. But I think it's likely to break below these lows. Stuck in the middle of this anyway. There's nothing I can really do here. And the reason I say that is I did take a trade earlier on one account on the NQ. This one, a triple test. Now, I didn't go for the full points. I got out because what I didn't realise is that bar with 2 contracts was a $600 risk. So I nearly shit myself when I saw that. So it moved quite quick, but I got out of it. I think I got about $150 out of it anyway. So, but it was a bit too good to turn up that. So it worked perfectly. Broke below these anyway. So we'll keep an eye on that anyway. So nothing we can really do at the moment. It's just going sideways. I will have a talk about my 250k account and why I've got 2 more past evaluations here. I ummed and ahed about that. I was thinking about that over the weekend. What to do with that? The only trouble is you've got to get $6,500 before you can take a payment. The only thing that makes things a little bit tricky sometimes is if you're trading multiple different contracts. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take a risk on that, and if I got lucky I'd keep it. If I didn't, so I took a trade and left it. I did it yesterday. I took a trade and left it, and I thought, I think I put my profit at about $1,500 or something like that. I thought if it works, I keep it. If it doesn't, I lose it. And it blew. So I picked up 2 more evaluations and opened it with the market open. They passed. So tomorrow I'll be up to my full 20 accounts. And hey Speedy, how you doing, buddy? I'll be up to my full 80 accounts. If that was a bit more bearish, leg and a leg, I prefer that a little bit higher. I'm making multiple attempts to go higher. It's quite a small risk, actually. It's only a 5-tick risk. But I wasn't a massive fan of that bar. Clearly worked for 2 points. But the market's just opened, and sometimes you can get a little bit excited when it opens and jump in a little bit premature. I've done it before, so sometimes I have a little think. But in all honesty, it actually looked pretty good on here as well. We've made multiple attempts. So we had a leg up and a leg up, pushed up, opened above it, nice big bearish bar, and that came down perfectly. But unfortunately, I didn't have that drawn yet. It's worked beautifully. I didn't have it drawn. Armanas, how you doing, bud? I didn't have it drawn. And in all honesty, this hasn't come down as strong as I thought it might do. But on the NQ, that was a lovely trade, I think so. Did anybody take that on the NQ? Yeah, I actually think it was a nice trade. We had this push down. I took that just for I got $150, but I realised it was a $600 risk, which that's the trouble with the point system's different. But then we came down, we had one leg up, a little bit of sideways, so it was like a leg and a leg, and we actually broke above there by a tick or a couple of ticks, whatever it is, and then reverse, nice big bearish bar, so leg and a leg, clearly sort of two legs up, failed break out of here. I like that. I thought it was a nice trade. Unfortunately, the bar on here was just a little bit too naff. And not only that, on the NQ, the bar was in a nice place as well. If I put that line bang on there, it was in a perfect place, really. We've broken above it and failed. So that was in a nice place, but on the ES, just wasn't that good enough. If it would have been a bit higher and sat like the NQ, I'd have taken it. So, yeah, I ummed and ahed. I thought a lot about that $250,000 account. And I ummed and ahed about it. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take a risk on a trade. I'd go for a couple of $1,000 on a trade. And if it worked, I keep it. If it went against me, I lose it. And it went against me straight away. But what I did is I put it in and I walked away and forgot about it. So I thought I'll leave it I'll put it into the lap of the gods. And it went against me. If I kept it and I was 2,000 up in it, I'd keep it, because you've got to get $6,500 to take a payment. So I do like the idea of having all 50s, because you set everything at 2 contract, you copy everything exactly, split it up with 10 and 10. So I ended up picking up 2 more evaluations, which I passed. So they'll go live tomorrow. I thought I was expecting an email this morning, actually, but I think because of the half day yesterday, the holiday, I don't think Apex did anything yesterday. So my only slight issue is I've got 18 accounts, 19 including that one. That one's failed. That one failed before I pass these 2. So I'm just wondering whether they'll get these live before they fail that one. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I'm not a fan of at that. So I thought I'd just take a risk and see if I got lucky. But that actually fell before those. But it'd be interesting to see if I get the email before, because they may say, well, you've got 19 accounts. But I think I'll probably sort that out anyway. But yeah, I thought I'll take a risk, and if it goes in my favour, it's meant to be. If it doesn't, it's not meant to be. So I'm surprised this isn't coming down, because we've had a very, very similar pattern. There's the NQ. We've got a leg down side was followed by a leg down. I think there's a good chance we could get a measured move. That'll take us down to these lows. We've got very similar pattern here, but we haven't quite had that push down yet. It's struggled, in all fairness. It may go. Have a look. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's interested in that at all. Bunch of touches there. Couple of touches there. Touch, couple of touches there right from that bottom. So I even noticed, I don't often see Thomas Wade plot the previous day or the previous day, but he did mention it the other day, about a week or so ago. We had that channel down. I don't know if you remember, we had a break at a new low, so maybe just be aware of it. Okay, so that's doing what it's supposed to. So are we going to hold here again? So we got a leg down, sideways. 1, 2, 3. So one attempt. To me, this looks like one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, and a failure. Came down below the EMA. Had another go, but nothing really. In fact, there was a second entry short there, which I didn't notice. That's interesting. I actually like that because there's a higher low. We've come off the top and we've only got 2/3 of the way down. We've got a bullish bar with a higher low. So I think that actually was a nice trade. Anybody take that? I think that was okay, actually. I love the way it triggered one tick above the higher low and came down. So you'd expect that to get to the lows. But I didn't know. It is a bit congestion, but I have heard Max say if you can read what's going on, then you can trade it. Yeah, I think that's the thing, Chris. I'd only take them on the news, in all fairness. You know, I don't know. Is it a bit of a gimmick that Apex are doing? I suppose so. Maybe to get a few people in. You took that. Yeah, I actually think that was an okay trade, actually. May have been a little bit more advanced, I suppose. I don't know, but I didn't notice it. But it is a second entry short, and it is. I think it's always important as well, because we've come off the tops and we've only got so far down, there's going to be traders thinking, well, bottoming in here, we're going to be going up. And there was a bullish bar followed by a really nice looking higher low, but one, it's congested, and two, after this leg down, I think it's likely we get another leg down. Whether it will get as far, I don't know, but the fact that it ticked above there and came down, I thought that was worth a go, that, but unfortunately I didn't spot it in time. But you got it, mate. Good on you. Sometimes if you take your eye off the ball for a second, you can miss these. But you know, I suppose it does add a little bit more risk, the fact that it is a bit congested, but I think if you can spot the fact that there's going to be some longs in there. For me, after this leg down, I think it's likely we're going to pop out the bottom. We did on the NQ, leg down sideways, and whether we come down any further or whether, in fact, there may even be a slightly larger channel there. It's possible. Trouble is, we've only got down to here, so I'm not a fan of that. It may look okay there, but just not sure about that at the moment. But yeah, I think that was a nice trade. Trapping them longs again, if there is any in there, of course, and then pretty much straight down to the bottom. So keep an eye on that. Great, another range there. I'll tell you what, Sam, ranges sometimes can be okay. I actually kind of like them, and to a degree. I used to hate them, and I'll tell you why. The simple thing is, so much of the time now, it's hard to know whether we're going long or short because it's given us all sorts of weird shit down, up. But when we get a range, the one thing we do know is we can short the tops and buy the bottoms. All we got to do is wait for the right setup. So at least we know what direction to go in. The only downside to a range like this is it's only 5.5 points. There's not a lot of room to manoeuvre. If it was double like that, maybe 10 points would be a bit easier. But it's just finding a good quality setup at the top and at the bottom. So at least we know at the bottom we're looking for longs and at the top we're looking for shorts, because so much of the day you haven't got a bloody clue. You spend half a day trying to figure out whether we're going up or down. I think it's good for experience. Yes, I agree with that, mate. I agree with that. And I'll tell you why. Up until maybe a few months ago, you always heard me say, I don't pick tops and I don't pick bottoms because I'm crap at them. But I started looking one day at Marco's charts, and he takes them, and what I noticed is when we had a little breakout and we were always trapping a long, so if there was a setup long, those were the ones that worked. So if you look at this, perfect example, higher low, triggered, that one worked. On the NQ, same again, big bullish bar. There's going to be some people taking longs there, thinking, oh, we're going to push up. What happens? It ticked above it, a tick or two, I don't know, this is the NQ, and then came down, and that one worked. So same with this leg down. Is there going to be some shorts there? Big bullish bar, maybe trapping. So I it's just something I hadn't really noticed. You know, I thought I was just looking for a bar which looked bearish. But it's always better if it's trapping along. There's a lot more chance of it working. So when you say for more experienced traders, I think as I'm starting to get more experienced, I'm starting to become more aware of it. So it's an interesting comment, that. because I spent so long avoiding them. And the trouble is, if you avoid something for long enough, you're not learning how to deal with it. And because there is less setups on here, I think you've got to try and use you've got to pick tops, pick bottoms, triple tests. See, triple test was another one I avoided. Now I like taking them so once you pick up all these little extra skills, when you find the second entries and the high lows are a little bit more non-existent, at least then you've still got a couple of other strings to your bow. So it's an interesting comment that. So yeah, ranges actually aren't too bad, as long as they're more or less, I mean, they're pretty consistent at the bottom and the top. Leg and a leg, that one worked there. I don't know if I'd have taken that leg and a leg. Maybe not that one, but maybe something like that where it clearly broke out and rejected. Big bearish bar there. See, there may be some people trading there, but and eventually after that it went up, came down a bit more, went up and went one tick above there, interestingly enough. So if we are trapping some longs, and that's clearly a long setup. So you've got a new low there, trying to go low once, try to go twice. It's actually a failure. So that, to me, that bearish bar is a weak bearish bar to go short. And there's going to be some traders thinking, oh yeah, here we go, first entry, failure, trapping some shorts, let's go long here. But you don't really want to be going long into the top of a clear range, so triggered above. So a trade like that would have worked. And as we know, if you can get one trade a day at the moment, 5 trades a week, you're doing pretty well. So it's just learning, because I steered away from him for so long, but I just happened to be looking at one of Marco's charts one day, and he took 2 up here, and I'm thinking every time I do, they lose. But then I noticed both of them were trapping long, so I looked back on a bunch of his charts whenever he took them, and I was getting exactly the same story. So you think I'd have known that, but the trouble is, when you are sort of self-taught with a little bit of guidance, there are gaps in your knowledge. Okay, so that's doing what I thought it might do. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. It's alright, I was looking for a bullish bar there to fade that. Because of this line, it was sat on the line for a minute. So I'm just going to get rid of that now, I think. But it's just nice to be aware that there may be something. Looking like a larger downtrend. Yeah, I was just looking at that on the NQ. It's a little bit more obvious here, isn't it? Yes, definitely. Yes, okay, so leg, that's looking clearer. So are we getting something like that on here? I think there's a good chance we are. Yes, I'll go with that. So leg down. So for me, 2 legs up, top, 2 we came down, 1, 2 legs up, a top. So 2 clear attempts to push up, followed by a failure. So if that would have been a bit bearish and a bit higher, I don't think that would have been a bad trade. I don't know whether you'd take that or not, maybe. It's a bit congested, but if you're thinking on the lines of that, I wasn't at the time until Brad mentioned it. But if you're thinking on the lines of this is doing this and then likely to come down, maybe that mightn't have been bad, but it's just a bit unclear really, I think. Got a nice fail second entry long on the CL. Yeah, you have, haven't you? Well, that's interesting. I wasn't watching the CL for a minute, although I am actually trading one account on it. Yeah, I'm just trading one account on this CL, just to get a bit of a feel for it. I think the price action works exactly the same. It was a good scalp. Yeah, in fact, I actually put a post on a Facebook group over the weekend. I've noticed sometimes when you get the news on here, the CL doesn't react the same. So I just wanted to understand, bearing in mind we've got the news coming up in a bit, folks, I just wanted to understand, was there any other specific news related to oil that I would have to be aware of? Now, I've been trading this now for 3 years, so these have never failed me. This is an add-on from Mac's site. Never ever had a problem with this unless I've just forgotten it. But obviously oil is slightly different, so I believe there's some OPEC something. I took a bunch of pictures anyway, but it'd be a shame to be able to start. I'm only trading on an account for now, and what I might do is if I'm okay with it, what I might do is trade 10 on the ES and 10 on the CL. That way I can trade them at the same time, but separately, if you like. So I've not, because sometimes if it's more for me, the problems, this orange limit order that seems to be freezing from time to time, and the odd occasion, I think it is the rare occasion that Rhythmic causes me problems. I think it's only caused me one problem since I've been using it, but I ended up getting away with it. So I did, as you can see, the orange here is slightly more orange than red. I upgraded NinjaTrader over the weekend. I just got a little bit of advice to see if anybody had any problems, and no, the only downside to it is you've got to sign in every time you open it, but it takes about 10 to 20 seconds, so it's not so bad. But I thought if there is any issues with these limit orders, then maybe the update may sort them out, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, if I can get a nice feel for this, I mean, the CL, it's been traded by Vlad, or Vladdy, whatever his name is, and a bunch of others. Sam seems to be trading okay. So there's no reason why we can't trade it price action exactly the same. So what I might do is just do 10 on one and 10 on the other. But I need to start to be aware of any news, because what I don't want to do is trade 10 accounts into a news event. So we have got this news coming up. Consumer confidence. So it'd be interesting to see what effect that has. There was a tempting setup on the CL, but I left it, that one there. We sort of had a leg and a leg, a push up, but it's a little bit low, so I was thinking if I can get a higher low here. If I get a higher low here. Not sure about this. We're clearly ranging there. In fact, the range may be a little bit higher. But if it is, this may fail and come in. So I'm not sure about that. I have to keep an eye on that. But it is nice to have another chart. I did look at the ES 1500 tick chart, but a lot of people mentioned fake outs. So do you remember which news event was it? You did it earlier on live stream. Did not have any impact. When you did it earlier, your live stream, but the news didn't. It did absolutely nothing, didn't it? In fact, I'll tell you, you'll know. Chris will know. Do you remember that? Because Chris, everybody else, I think, cancelled their trades, and Chris went short. Although we didn't have any effect with the news, he passed the account. So we're all thinking nothing's happened, and we shut our trades down, and Chris is the smart one. He went in short and ended up getting a lovely, nice, slow move and picked up his points. I can't remember what it was. Was it? I think it was Friday. Chris might know because he passed him that account. Are we trading the second entry short on the news or an eval? See, if you're going to trade something on the news, you want to do an OCO order, because if you're going long and it happens to go short, or if you trigger a long thing, because that's what I used to do. I used to get two accounts, trigger a long and a short at the same place, and if it went long, at least one of them would pass. But you don't need to do that with these bracket orders, because you can put a buy under here and a sell order under here, and if it goes up, triggers the buy, cancels the short, and so you get the best of both worlds, really. Keeping in mind, folks, if you're looking at a trade here, this news is coming up. So I thought that broke above there, but we have got this impending news. Whether it's doing sideways because of that or not. Was it consumer confidence? I don't think so. We got consumer confidence now. Was it Friday? I'll tell you what. Let's look back on Friday's video, and I'll tell you. Friday, was it 3 days ago, wasn't it? Is it Tuesday? Monday. Yeah, it was 3 days ago. So you might hear me talking again. I'll just knock it off. Revised consumer sentiment. So remember that one for not doing anything. Revised consumer sentiment. So this is consumer confidence. So to be honest with you, because I don't really trade the news much, I've only done it recently, I've never really paid too much attention to what... I'm sure the PPI or CPI data is the one that can move quick. I'm not sure, actually. Maybe someone else might know. I'm aware when the news is, but I don't tend to focus on exactly what it does. I just tend to make sure I'm out. So you're talking about that CL. I know it goes for 10 ticks, doesn't he? Vlad, or Vladdy, whatever his name is. He goes for 10 ticks, so that's what I've got mine set at, 10 ticks. And then whatever the signal bar is. I did a trade the other day just on a sim, or on a sim. And I think the risk was $280 and it was a $200 profit. So I think it's very similar to the ES. Vladdy. It's Vladdy, isn't it? I think. It is Vladdy, I think. But yeah, he trades it. But yeah, you just need to be aware of any news. I had some comments yesterday, a few people mentioned, which I took a photo of. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, American News Weekly, API Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. EIA Wednesday 10 a.m. Baker Hughes order count on Friday 11 a.m. Other news: OPEC, OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, Russia, other oil producing nations. That could mean a lot. I think what I might do is just look daily on Forex Factory and just see if there's any news relating to it. Do we have a YouTube channel? Vlad? No, he's I think he's a moderator on Mac's channel, isn't he? So I think, in fact, it was Brand who put that comment, because I thought it was Eric at the time, but apparently it was Brand. It was Vladdy who put the comment on there saying he's been trading it for the past 6 months. Is he Bulgarian? Vladdy. Yeah, it does. It does sound a bit Eastern European, doesn't it? See, Marco's from Malta, isn't he? I don't know whether he lives in the US now, but I think he's originally from Malta. Yeah, but Vlad or Vladdy, however you say it, he's a moderator on Mac's channel, on Mac's forum, I believe. Yeah. So I just had a message. I can't get into Mac's site. Anybody else getting this now? Signing into Mac's. Perhaps he's finally retired and not said anything. I think he's back, isn't he? It just might be an error on the site, I think. Anybody else getting that? There we go. Okay, just bearing this news is in 30 seconds, folks. So if you're in a trade or looking at a trade, just avoid it. Let's just try again. Yeah, no, I can't get in. See, that's interesting. A possible triple test on the CL. You couldn't get anything. No, there's a bit of an error. In fact, is he back today? I think he is. Okay, news. Okay, news is happening. We're getting nothing.
Order submitted.
No, okay. It's all right.
Order cancelled.
I just opened a trade quickly if you heard a bleep on the... It's all right. Looked like a possible triple test, but the bar never formed. You can't log in. Yeah, someone will message him, I think, won't they? If it's happened to a bunch of us, it's happened to all of us, so someone will mention it. Maybe he's actually finally retired and done a disappearing act. I think he's been away fishing, hasn't he? I think he's finally decided not to come back. Or he's opened up his emails and thought, sod that, I'm not answering them. Okay, so news didn't really do anything. So, clearly made that measured leg down there, no issues there. We have got some support down here. So, bounce, we may get something here. Bit of a hold up or something. Let's put that about there. Okay, so news is done and dusted. Nothing to worry about now. So measured leg clearly played out around about here. So far, don't seem to be getting any of those orange bars.
Order submitted.
Goes orange for a second, but then it moves straight back, so that's okay.
Order cancelled.
I did upgrade Ninja Trader. I thought sometimes when they have these errors or problems, the upgrades tend to figure them out. I'm going to get rid of that now. Okay, channel with a break, new low, back to the MA, 2 pushes down to a new low. I had a feeling this may bounce here because there is some support there yesterday and early or late Friday. I'm just quickly having a... No, it's okay. I was just having a quick glance at this. We got a channel up and 2 perfect legs and a little bullish bar there. I didn't want to take it because it may be nothing, but it was 2 legs. Sometimes you'll get 2 legs and then this will push off in this direction. But if you'd have taken that, you'd have got trapped. I'd never have taken that straight away, although it was 2 nice legs. I'd have wait for the higher low or to get above here, but sometimes I'll get that push up, 2 legs, and then off we trot. There is a lower high. Well, it's a little bit too far for a lower high, to be honest with it. It's more of a break, I think, out of that channel on that CL. So, a little micro there. A little micro with a break and a new low. So I'm just ignoring this anyway. It's just, you can't take that really. If it had got something under this side, then maybe. But nothing there really. Maybe there is. Possibility. I'm not a massive fan of this. Trouble is, you get, if you put that channel there and you think it's working, you'd be looking to go short here. And I'm not sure I feel about that. Push up, little pull back, may go a bit higher. No, I'm just getting rid of that. I'm not a Not a fan of that. Just looks like a leg sideways and a leg. Okay, so if you think that channel is valid, there may have been some shorts there. Taking that trade for a second entry short. I don't like this. I think there's a chance we could come up. So there is a higher low there, which might not be a terrible trade, but there is a lot of support there, so it just concerns me, that does. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but I just can't go long. I can't bring myself to. I hope the bar finishes naff. It's going to anyway. Yeah, it's finishing crap. I mean, there is a possibility it could come down. I just don't know at the moment. It looks like a bit of a bull flag to me. I'm not a fan of that big channel down. I was, but now I'm not. Let me see if it looks any different on the NQ. See, the NQ, I don't know. It just doesn't look like a nice fitting channel to me. It just looks like it happens to have hit a place twice. It's not flowing like a channel. There seems to be more movement than there should in there for a nice flowing channel, so I don't like it. So I'm just going to look upon it as more of an individual, because if there was a channel there, you may take a short there, and I think it's a mistake. So if you think that's a channel, you'd be looking for shorts. And now, granted, it is holding along there, so maybe it's possible. Maybe we get a second entry short and it will come down, but I don't like the channel, so I wouldn't be taking a short. So let's see if one does form and anything happens for it, but I don't like this. I'm putting that there just to make a point that it is working on there, but I don't necessarily think that's a good reason to get into a short trade there. See if it comes down. Push up. We could even get a triple test here to push up. For me, that's going up. So I don't think there's any shorts trapped there. If anybody took that, they're already in and out. But I mean, even if you wanted to go short, that wouldn't be a good short to take, really, because everything at the moment is above that EMA. So see what happens here. I could have it completely wrong, but so that for me, I don't think is a channel. It's more leg sideways and a couple of legs, more a leg and a leg really, and then something else here. Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it? I'd like to see a leg and a leg come down here and have a bullish bar sat in here to push up. Yeah, it was doing this earlier, wasn't it? The ES seemed to be pushing down quick. And when that ES had dropped out the bottom, we were still up here at the time, so this didn't seem like it was in a hurry to go short. Sorry, I was quiet. I had Apex problem. Oh, you're right, mate, don't worry. Trade Thursday. Oh, was it Thursday? Was it unemployment claims? Got you. And Vladdy is from... he's from Chicago, okay. There's loads of Eastern Europeans in the US, and well, there's loads of Eastern Europeans everywhere, really, isn't there? Where's Marco from then? I know he's originally from Malta. If you look on his Facebook profile, he's from Malta. But when I see his trades, I'm pretty sure, isn't he sort of west in the west? I seem to look at his time frame, and it suggests to me that. Okay, so leg and a leg. I think this is a short trap. I'd like to see this trigger and push up to me, leg and a leg, and then up. I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't think it is. See if this trigger's below here. Well, back to the EMA on the NQ. So if that trigger below there and had a bullish bar, I'd expect that to go up. Push up. One attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower. Don't know how I feel about going long there though. There's not much room to the highs. I'd want to get out here because of the support, but there's not much room. So if you can get in above there now, there's barely a point to the top. Okay, now that's triggered, so there may be some shorts thinking we're going down. As I say, we may do. I might completely have this channel thing wrong. Let's put it back. So the thing is, if it was where it originally was, it's a break. Yeah, to me it's risky going short here. Not that there's a short entry. Still waiting for a new low of the channel. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that channel. Let me have another go. So if it is, you probably, I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it just doesn't look as appealing. That to me looks like a failed breakout. I'm just going to get rid of it at the moment. It doesn't just jump at me, but I can be completely wrong. NQ needs a new low as well. Let's have a look. See if it looks better on the NQ. Yeah, same again. I'm just not a massive fan of it. It doesn't flow to me like it doesn't flow like a channel. So we got a leg down sideways and another leg down just broken into two. Then we got a push up sideways. What do I get rid of that? A failed breakout. Trouble is, after those series of red bars, I would rather a higher low because what I don't want to do is get trapped and then it does come down and I've got it wrong. Trouble is, you just never quite know sometimes. It doesn't fit like a nice looking channel to me. But that's just my opinion. And if it's wrong, I could end up getting trapped going along there, so I'm just staying out of this because I'm just a bit unclear as what I think. I initially liked it, but and then I went off it just because of this. I don't know. It just doesn't flow as nice as a lot of channels do. And if that was a nice breakout, I'd expect it to work a bit quicker than that. Trapping a bunch of shorts thinking we're going down. Well, it did work for a couple of points. I don't take a lot of these trades where we get a breakout. I'm more of a triple test man. Scalp long for 4 ticks. Yeah, the trouble is after that little channel, you don't know whether it's going to trigger you and come down. It depends how you feel about that channel. For me, it just doesn't look like a nice working channel. Let's just try it again. And not only that, if it is, we've not come down very far, so I'd expect a break. It's not much of a break, really. But I'm just not sure about it. So maybe this is more of a break, so maybe we get a leg and a leg. So that clearly worked nicely. So failed breakout. I don't take a lot of these, but I should pay a bit more attention. I used to avoid ranges. Visual second entry long into the range bottom. Yeah, the trouble is it's gone a bit further, isn't it? So that'd be interesting. Let's see if that comes down now. Maybe it will. I still don't believe this channel, see, so I'm not thinking about going short. It's clear on the NQ. Yeah, it is a bit clear on the NQ, I'll give you that, because it's touching nicer. Touch, touch, touch. We've touched 3 times. See, if you believe that wouldn't be a bad trade to take, actually, leg and a leg. But I'm staying out of this. Now, if we get a lower high down here, it might not be a bad way, and it may work. That's the thing with trading. We've all got slightly differing understandings of the market, and not only that, different understandings of risk as well. Some, if you put your level of risk from 1 to 100, you could be, there's such a massive scale where, you can assess risk. And it's on an individual basis. As I've said before, some people will quite happily take trades at 70% and go for one. It's a profitable strategy. So it depends what your strategy is. Whether you do a trader I see taking a lot and going for the numbers is Bart Fly. He takes quite a lot of trades, but a lot of his are based on pretty good looking setups, and he makes money at it. But for me, he's got the cojones to take the losses. I haven't, so I tend to just wait for relatively straightforward ones. But yeah, he's the type of trader that takes setups, slightly riskier setups, but he plays the numbers game and it works for him. Yeah, see, I think Bart would have probably taken trades like that, just for a couple of points or whatever. A lot of times as well, he gets in, he puts trades on top of trades as well. So if he thinks it's a nice looking setup, and he gets better indications, he tends to add an extra contract to it. So maybe it is working. That for me is not a good enough break to come down, but 2 legs, that would be. And it looks like it is pushing down. Trouble is, if it's not as clear on this, you don't know how people are going to trade this. That, to me, this obviously would be the bottom of the channel. We've not come as far as we needed to, really, to sort of confirm the bottom as well, which tells me loss of momentum and a break. There wasn't no setups to go short. Anyway, that was a setup to go short. If you believe it was, I tend to wait for the the lower high. With being not sure where we're going, but I'm just staying out of this because I have a bad feeling. So that's interested on that NQ. So we've had very similar. We've had a break, like a little sort of channel up with a break new high, but we've had quite what looks like a reasonable amount of rejection there. But that is pushing up now, or is it? Sometimes it'll go up and drag in some longs, and then down will come. If we can get a lower high down here, then I think there's a chance that that's going to come down. But the way that's pushing up, I'm not so sure. Maybe we get up. A couple of attempts to go lower and up some more, but that can turn. The NQ works quite quick. And I've looked at the NQ quite a bit lately, and sometimes it can look really strongly bullish 1 minute, and then literally within a flash it can completely change. So no lower high or anything there anyway, so I'm just staying out of this because I'm a bit unsure as to what I think's going on here. I'm not a massive fan of that now, although I will say it is touching. But it doesn't always mean it's really sometimes they just do. But then we may get 2 attempts to go lower and then drop like a stone. Not only that, if it is a range day, or turns out a range day, sometimes you're sat waiting for the touch, the new low, and it doesn't come and turns out in a range. Sometimes I'll just push straight up. If we're in a channel, it gets to the top of a range, sometimes it'll just drop. So, all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, is this a triple test to go higher? You could certainly argue that. Once, twice, 3 times, it's not bearish enough. If that was bearish down here, I'd say it probably was going down, but I'm not sure about that. So that's quite possible. Trouble is, I won't, even if we got a higher low here, I won't want to go long into that just in case I'm wrong. I will admit on this time, I'm not sure at the moment. My gut tells me it's not. It doesn't look like it, but I'm not confident to take a long based on what I think it's not doing. Well, that NQ is trying to push up. It may go, if it gets above here, I think it will go higher. But it'll do that. Look like it's trying, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, it turns really bearish and drops. So 1 minute, it's looking like if it breaks above there, then I think it'll start to push up a bit higher, but it could just turn last minute this and come bearish. And then that would be a triple test. Whether I'd take it still or not, I don't know, because we've had a leg up. It may trap you short and push up for another leg. It's hard to say. Do you trade evals different than PAs? I do, yeah. I trade evals like a bloody idiot, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's looking... You could say that's a triple test, but I don't like it. It's trigger below, isn't it? It may work, but I think that's we got a leg. I just think that's I don't think this is coming down. Need 8 more ticks down for passing the 18th tick. Good on you, mate. Not sure about that. It may trap some shorts there. If it gets above that and that, then I'd say we're having another leg. But 1 minute it can look like it's pushing up. Second entry long, higher low. But I wouldn't want to go long into that. It's one of these things when it's struggling to go up. Sometimes it can drop and it may end up bullish. It may trigger above it and then come down for a failure. Be interested to see what this does. Let's just move this over a bit. Nothing to trade in the ES. It's just, see what I mean? 1 minute it looks bullish with that. Next minute it just turns. And that trade, I mean, you could argue that's a triple test. And it may come down. If you trade your PAs like your evals, you will be making so much money. Yeah. Yeah, but I lost a stink load. I've had over 500 evaluations. You wouldn't think a person can fail that much, but trust me. I was having a chat on Nutty's stream. I mentioned that Friday. And there was loads done even Nutty's done way more than me. There was a guy there with over 1,200. How do you trade evals? I shouldn't say this because it's not really the best thing to do in all fairness, but I like to trade them on the news. Now, at the moment, when they have these 1 day to pass, I like to just trade them on the news. Now, you know, it works okay, I think, but if you're a trader that's got PAs and you're able to build and you've got past that psychological side, then I get it. But if you're a newish trader and you're struggling with the psychological side of it, I wouldn't, because I don't think you should be trading PAs anyway. So if you're relatively new, I wouldn't even be trading PAs. That's interesting. I just stick to evaluations because you need to learn this on evaluations, otherwise you'll just get murdered. So look at that. So we've got a higher low there. There's going to be some short stops there. It goes up by a tick and starts to turn. That's what I mean. I won't want to go long here because, you know, there is a possible triple test. But if that was a good enough triple test, I wouldn't expect the market to come back twice. So my gut tells me that's going to push up, but I still think it's risky. Because it may trigger there and come down. But if we get over above here, I think it's going out. Looks like a leg with a couple of attempts back and a higher low. So 1, 2, 3 attempts and a push up. Yeah, okay. So let's see. If this turns now. No, I think that's going up. So did you copy them all? I traded them individually really on the news, or traded maybe a couple of them and just built them up. Excuse me a sec. Okay. Yeah, so let's see what this is going on. So where were we? So, yeah, I just sort of did them 1 or 2 at a time or something like that. So, yeah, it just doesn't look like a great channel for me. And I think if that was going to come down, it would have done it by now. Now, sometimes we'll do this and do that and mess around sideways and eventually come down. But I thought that would have struggled to push above this if this was going to come down. So I'm just not sure. But there's no setups here anyway. I don't know whether you'd have took that. I personally wouldn't have done, because at the moment I was just a bit unsure. So let's remove that, see if it looks any different. Let's see if any type of a range fits. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. I got no idea at the moment. Yeah, but I mean, trader news, if you can hold accounts, but if you're still learning and you're still blowing accounts, you don't really want to be doing that. Second entry short there. But I'm just a bit unsure what's going on. It's a small risk, that. It's only 4 ticks, that. You could say it's a leg and a leg. So if you had a scalp at a point there, you'd have got a point there. Small, that 4 ticks. You don't often get a 4 tick bar, especially when the ATR's 2. So you'd have got a scalp out of that, depending on what you'd have gone for. A leg and a leg. I'd have preferred that to tick above there like that one, but it didn't. Yeah, I can't emphasize enough to sort of the newer traders how long this takes. And trust me, I've lost a ton of money at this because I was ignorant and stupid and I didn't listen to people. Now, I absolutely get the fascination to want to have a go with money. You get a little bit of success, but this thing just seems to it gets a lot harder before it starts to get easier. I still don't feel like I'm a natural trader. I don't feel like I'm just doing a job that I've been doing for years. Not yet. I'm getting better and I'm improving all the time. But I think I've gone sort of erring more on the side of caution at the moment. But what I am seeing is not every traders, there are other traders just not always marking trades or not taking a lot of trades because there isn't a lot of setups. You know, I did think, it did cross my mind, would I ever be able to do this, or would I be able to get over the psychological side, because I am quite stubborn, but I've managed to get over that psychological side where I'm not blowing accounts. I haven't blown an account, with the exception of that 250,000 one, but that was sort of semi on purpose. But I haven't revenge traded and blown an account, which I always did since sort of the first week in March, because it just went. That fear and panic where I have no control just disappeared when I made the choice to buy that GAT, although I never actually got round to buying it. But I can't tell you how hard trading is. If it was that easy, everyone would be making a fortune at it, but it really isn't. But if you stick to it and you keep learning and you just keep coming back, you will get there, I believe. But trust me on the if I could give some advice now to one of my family members, I would say spend 1.5 years on a sim. Depending on how many hours. If you could get an average of 3 hours trading a day, I would spend 1.5 years on a sim. Maybe even a bit longer. And just learn the skills on a sim, because it's much better to learn the skills when you're not losing money, because the experience is just so much better. So that's the advice I give to myself, because you know, you learn a bit of this, you understand a few things, and you win a few trades. Sometimes, you know, market will just move up and you will get some luck. You'll just get some lucky trades. You know, when I started and had my first payout, I got my account up to $7,000. Now I would say probably 40-50% of those trades I got lucky. And the trouble is, when you do get some luck, it hurts you even more when you come down to earth. But sometimes you can go for a stage where things just work. Yeah, see, at the moment, this is just not really making much sense. I mean, it is acting like a channel, down, sideways, down, channel, down, sideways, so I don't know, even if, is there maybe something even wider there? I mean, there may be something larger. I'm not so sure. It just doesn't fill me. So we go down, sideways, down, sideways. That's how it works. So I'm not really sure at the moment. It is slowly kind of working down, so I'm not sure. So look, sim is good for learning strategy, but in my opinion, only when you have something. Yeah, I agree with you there, Philip. I agree with you. I would say a year and a half on a sim, and then start evaluations, because you need skin in the game. Because the biggest battle for me was not learning the skills. I knew with enough time and enough chart time, they would come. But for me, the bit that I struggle with most of all, and I think most people probably agree, is the psychological side, that panic. I felt like I had absolutely no control. Now, if anybody's ever done any boxing, if you've never done any boxing, try stepping into a ring with some gloves on with someone and start swinging some punches. All of a sudden, everything goes a blur, and it's fight or flight. And I had exactly the same result with trading. I'd lose a trade. Sometimes I could cope with one, but 9 times out of 10, if I lost the second one, things would go tits up, and I'd finish the stream and I'd end up either getting lucky and get my money back or blowing the account. I had no control over it. It's almost like something took over the steering, and I had no control. How to deal with the trailing draw. See, as a Pats trader, trailing drawdown is never going to be an issue, because we go for a fixed amount, whether it's a point, 2 points. So there's never an issue. Now, if you're going short up here and expecting to take profits down there, then I get, if market comes back a little bit. But all I can say to you is try and go for smaller profits until you can pass your PA account. Once you get above that $2,600, your drawdown stops following you. So if you can get up to $5,000, theoretically, then you've got $5,000 of drawdown, so you can go for these bigger moves. But I do appreciate the fact that some people, might risk one to make 3 or 5, and yeah, drawdown can be a problem. So if drawdown is a problem with your trading style, just go for less contracts. Just go for one contract. The trick is to get above that $2,600 level on the PA, and then you can start to maybe bring up the contracts a bit when it's not so much of an issue. But yeah, I tend to not aware of it so much, because I only ever go for 2 to 2.5 points, so there's never an issue. If my trade loses, it's gone. It makes no difference to Pat's trade, really. So all I'd say is just reduce your contract size and go for your bigger moves. So it's not so much of an issue. Then you're always going to have it. You've just got to work with it until you get your PA. Get to your PA and then get your PA above that drawdown. Whereas feeling is when something goes wrong, that say stuff out loud, you need to stick with it. Yeah, I can't emphasize enough how much you need to follow the rules 100%. For me, another trigger was when I took a trade. Now, when we take a trade, you have a certain feeling. If you see a setup, most of the time I will go, I like that, and jump straight into it. There's no doubts, and I'll go straight for it. Other times, sometimes your patience. Now, for instance, this one, 2 legs back. Now, my gut tells me that's going to come in, but that is not what I would call a confident trade for me. And if I got into a trade, I would have the little voice in my head saying, just let it go, wait for the higher low. And if I got into a trade that my little voice says I shouldn't have done, that's another trigger for me to send me off on tilt. So it's hard as a new trader to sit here for 4 hours and not take a trade. In fact, it's near damn impossible, but you have to. And eventually you will you'll realise that you've got to filter out the crap and just take those sure setups, because it's all good and well taking something risky, but if you lose $300, you've now got to take 1.5 trades just to get back to break even. So the next couple, so you've got your one losing trade and your next 2 trades. So you've taken 3 trades and you're only just above break even. So I think you learn after a while that it's much better to take nothing than to take a loss. But it is hard in the beginning because you're itching to take a trade. You're itching. And that overwhelming feeling to just want to jump in. I mean, you guys that have been here since the day one, you look back on some of my older videos and I just jump in flipping the most stupid and random places because my gut feeling was saying this is going down or I don't want to miss out on a move, and I got crucified for it. So, you know, sooner or later, if you poke someone with a stick enough times, they'll start to change. And that's the trick, really. Just keep on plodding on and just keep pushing and keep pushing, keep trading. It's like any type of job. You know, if you're a doctor, you've come out of university or medical school or whatever, you're not going to be a great doctor. You're not going to know everything. But with time, every time something goes wrong, you make mistakes, you'll learn with experience. And this is the same thing. It's a job that requires skill and time to get better at it. And the only way to do it is just to keep coming here and spending as much. It is chart time. It's the perfect cure for a trader, chart time. So your risk reward is 2 to 1. Now, I tend to, it depends really. So if I was to take, say, that trade there, let's say I took that short trade there, that one there. So I'd get in probably a tick below and probably a tick above. So the ATR is around 2 at the moment. So I would probably go for between 2 to 2.5 points, 10 ticks. I have my ATM set at 10 ticks. I like 10 ticks. Thomas Wade 10 ticks. He has some success with it. There's not many trades that go for 8 that don't go for 10. So in this scenario, it would be 1 to 1. But I would say most of the time my risk is probably a couple of ticks more than my profit, which is not a lot really. But that's me trading. That's me trading Pats. But there's so many different ways to trade. I haven't even scratched the surface of half of them. There's so many ways to take a trade. But I do listen to other traders, and they do talk about lower highs and stuff like that. So a lot of it is common sense, because a lot of these lower highs, you know, Mac's strategy, or whoever eventually learnt it, came from looking at the markets. And if you're all looking at the same picture, you'll all start to work out where things are going. You know, when this is starting to work down, you'll all work out the same sort of conclusion. How did Albrook's method go in your testing? I haven't really done a lot with him, to be fair, but a couple of people said he's very hard going. You know, I don't know. I think he's super technical, I think, and I just really haven't really spent much time. Most of my time is focused, you know, on learning sort of what Mac's saying. It does feel great though. Yeah, you know, when people are losing, when you're risking money, most of your focus is based around frustration because you're getting caught out and you can't figure out why. But what you got to remember is every time you lose a trade, you're learning. You might not think you are because you're so focused on the feeling of losing, it just sort of overwhelms everything else. But I don't get trapped nowhere near as much as I used to. So many times I used to get trapped and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why. But the one thing about getting trapped is you do learn. So, you know, that's why I say I think you focus on a sim, because you'll learn better without the frustration, because there's nothing worse than struggling and losing a ton of money, because it does push you closer and closer to the time where you may decide trading's not for you. I can't afford to do any more. I'm losing too much money. And you're missing out on a potential great job and a great income. But, you know, if you listen to people like Mark Douglas and his videos, you know, he does say with time, trading becomes easy. When you can, once you've learnt enough skills to read the market. Now, it doesn't mean, you know, because you get good at trading, you're not going to have the odd loss. But sooner or later, it'll get to the point where you just come here every day like a normal job and you trade it. The process becomes easy. You wait for a setup, you take it, you move on. And over time, you know, over the month or whatever, over the week, you'll make money. But he said, you know, when you can do it, it's like anything. Any job, you know, that's difficult takes skills. With enough practice and enough time, sooner or later it'll become like most jobs. You know, you'll go into work, you'll know what you've got to do, you'll do what's required, and, you know, and move on. But it does take time, and I think that's what people underestimate. I certainly did anyway. I was saying to Nutty, after doing it for a month, I gave up my job because it looked easy. And it was, I mean, for me, you know, I've done quite a few jobs in my life, tried, you know, a few new skills, and this is by far the toughest thing I've ever had to learn. I'm not saying that it's, you know, if you're a bricklayer, I was a bricklayer for a while. It takes a long time to learn as well. There's a lot of skill. You spend a lot of your time solving problems, but you don't have that psychological concern. You know, you go to work, you get paid. Once you had that psychological factor and the chance of losing money, not actually making money, that's where things change. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Leg down, sideways, a couple of legs down, sideways. You can see there is some support there which we've bounced off. We've bounced off once before, close enough, and we've made 1, 2, 3 attempts to go lower, and we haven't managed to get past here. So I think this may be the bottom. Looking at that NQ now. I did have my inkling that we were going to make another leg. I thought we may have done it from here, but we had a break. So if you took that trade, well, we had that, it dropped down, and we almost had quite a lot of rejection there. It pushed up really quickly. And often these good positions, when we get that pullback, they don't get down there, and that one didn't. So we're having a leg up and a little bit of sideways and another leg up. So are we going to get down here? Sometimes we still may. It still may be a channel. For me, I'm not so sure, but we could have a leg, and eventually it'll work down. Sometimes it does. You mentioned that your trading success turned around after you, but yeah, I'll tell this story. I've told it before, and it's an interesting one. I noticed one of Nutty's videos that he bought this piece of software called Guardian Angel Trader, and what it effectively does is it forces you, it stops you from trading. So whenever we start our trading day and nothing's gone wrong, everything's perfectly fine, you go into your settings, and you put in the settings that I can only do 2 trades today, maximum 2 trades, or maximum 1 trade, maximum 1 loss. You put in all these settings that you know in the cold light of day where you go wrong. So I would put in there, for instance, although I haven't got it, I would put in there, if I lose 2 trades in a day, I can't trade for the rest of the day. You can put in settings like, after a losing trade, it gives me time out for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, because that was another problem I had, and most traders will have it. If I had a losing trade, chances are within 10 seconds I'd be straight back into another trade. So there's all these different settings that you can put in and lock them so you can't trade. You know, you can even get it so it hides the ninja script, so you can't even delete the software and then trade. So it's got workable software that forces you to stop trading. But I remember when Nutty said he had a few problems with it. He bought it 6 months ago, but I was talking to 2 traders in here, John and Dean, who said they bought it. And no, they'd had updates. They said they'd had updates and it was working fine, no problem. So after speaking to John and Dean, I said to myself, right, I'm going to buy it, and that'll help me. So and all of a sudden I felt a massive weight off my shoulders, and I started to relax. So for the remainder of that week, it was a bad week. I'd had a loss one day and managed to walk away. A couple of days later, I had 2 losses in one day, managed to walk away. I just didn't feel the same. I wasn't panicked, and it's just never came back. So just knowing that there's something out there that could stop me from, when those emotions kicked in, blowing these accounts, just changed for me. So that was kind of the first week in March, and it's never come. Don't get me wrong, I don't like taking a trade, but I don't feel that urge now to jump back in. In fact, the last thing I want to do is jump back in, because now now these emotions gone, I'm thinking with me brain and not me emotions, and my brain tells me I built up PA accounts, don't bloody well waste them. So if you are struggling, I'd say buy it. It's about $399, but you blow 3 accounts and you've lost that. But just the fact that I said I was going to buy it, just, you know, it's almost like when you're in a bad marriage and you decide to go to counselling, all of a sudden you start to get on because you realise you've got a solution. What is your reasoning for drawing the last steep downtrend? What is my reason for drawing the last steep without the normal touches? That thing there, I actually got rid of it because I didn't like it. I'm assuming you're on about something like that, are you? So, I mean, as you know, as we know, a lot of the times when we get these bigger channels, they'll push down, they'll go sideways, pick up the edge of the channel, push down, come up, go sideways, pick up the edge of the channel. And that's generally how they'll move. Sometimes it's kind of a bit smoother. But if you look on a small term time channel, it does exactly the same. We push up, we go sideways, we come to this side, we push up again. Same here, push up to this side of it, moved over the side and pushed up again. So the latest steep trend, that's that latest steep trend channel. What about this? Or the bigger one? The smaller one here or the larger one? Oh, the steep uptrend. That one there. It's just a micro trend. 3 little candles or 3 or 4 little candles. Touch, 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 and then a little break. It's just a micro. It's kind of how we sort of assume we've got a channel. Now, usually when we have a channel and we have a breakout of the channel, it'll make a new extreme, or in an uptrend, it'll make a new high. Or a downtrend, make a new low. We got a little downtrend there. We had a small break there, made a new low. So most channels, when they have a break, they'll make a new extreme. Little downtrend. We had a break, 2 pushes down to a new low. So it's just a way of knowing that we've pushed up. We've had a break. We've made a new high. Now it could move in the opposite direction. So it's just a way of keeping tabs on what's happening. Chris, have you got a broad up channel in play? Let's have a look, mate. You on about from down here somewhere, or you on about something from here? I'm not sure about that, mate, in all honesty. I was looking for us 2 attempts to go lower there, or a nice correction and something higher. We didn't get it. It came down a bit further, but yeah, I'm not sure about that. It doesn't look good. No, it doesn't really, does it? And what I will say, mate, I think we may even have a slightly bigger look. That may just be, it looks like it may be just making range highs. And we've had a little breakout of it here with a little triple top. So it doesn't look like an uptrend. There is a slight upward movement, but I'm not treating it as an uptrend. I'm just leaving it at the moment because I'm not sure what's going on. Whether it's going to come back in and come down here and end up ranging. It's a bit. It's one of those awkward ones, isn't it? That aren't really clear. Is there anything there? It's hard to say. Could have had. Sometimes we'll break out one side and do the same out the other side. But at the moment, for me, I think it's the way this is coming back in. If this comes down here, it's probably just ranging, I think. But yeah, I think if it doesn't look good, it probably isn't. Yeah, it's tough on that. I've been focusing more on this today, really. But I forget it's up there, although I am trading one of my accounts on it because I do think it's worth. There's just not enough trades on here really at the moment. It's hard to say. We got a leg in a leg. You may have taken that one, but I'm not sure about this channel for me, so I took it away. And it's more sideways and sideways. So it still may have been worth a go, but I'm not sure. I think what the volume is like. I mean, yeah, there was nothing much yesterday, was there? Nothing at all, really. A little bit of a sort of a rally up towards the end of the day, but just seen Marco's got the same CL uptrend that I've got. Has he really? I go with what Marco's got then, mate. He's a more experienced trader than me. I think Marco's a great trader. So go with what Marco's got. Let me have a look. Let me put it again. Yeah, see, for me, I'm not sure at the moment. Because if this comes down here, it's more rangy. So, but, you know, sometimes we put these charts there, but then get rid of them or move them or as they develop. The reason I'm not sure about it is, one, we've only touched it really twice. So I don't think it really qualifies. It doesn't mean to say it's not going to come down to here and push up, but I think for me at the moment, it's more rangy. But I'm glad he's doing the CL as well. That's interesting. The more people that do it, I think the more experienced CL traders there are, and hopefully more of them will do them. Is he posted it on? Are you on the Thomas Wade's forum? Are you, Chris? I was thinking about doing it. The trouble is, thing is, I've been on a couple of forums or Discords, but the trouble is, when you're looking at two charts and you're talking as well, as much as I think I'm a very, very talented, brainy person, I can't even say it. I think it's even too much for my clever mind type. But I do like Thomas Wade. I wish he'd do a video every night, actually. I like him. I like the way he breaks down his thought process. I might do, just to find out who's taking what. Because I think the more other traders you spend time with and you talk about, you know, if anybody's ever learnt to play the guitar, if you're stuck in a room by yourself, you don't learn a lot. But if you've got a couple of mates who've got guitars, you tend to learn a lot quicker. And someone once told me, surround yourself with other traders, people you want to be like. So I may, I've only got 4 monitors at the moment. I decided to get rid of them. But the trouble is with my desk at the moment, it's got a bend and it's dipping in the middle with the weight. So I'm going to get one of those sit-stand desks with a little bit of a thicker top. And then I was in an R in whether to use. He's got some fantastic bars on his CL chart. It's hard to know what to do at the moment. See, I've got to say, when I first look at that CL chart, it looked like a godsend, but ever since I updated to the 7th, it seems to have lost something. But I'm trading just one of my accounts on this, because it's a shame not to, actually. It does seem to be slowly working up. I wish Marco would stream. I'd watch him myself. Why are you getting rid of 4 monitors? No. I had 6. I had 4. I've had 4 for a while. Well, I had 5, but that's another story. One of them fell on my fist 4 times and then flew out the window miraculously. No, we're updating our TV in our living room. At the moment we've got it's about a 6-year-old Samsung curved 4K 55-inch monitor, and we're upgrading to a 65-inch one. So I was umming and ahhing whether to bring the 55-inch curved in here, put it on the wall, and just use 2 of my monitors here. So I've only got 3 monitors in, so I don't need to mess around. Hearing him talk would clarify Yeah, it would. That's half of the battle. Mac never discusses how he feels when he's looking at a chart. I'd love for Mac just to trade a chart for the day, not necessarily take any trades or trade it on a simulator, and just to talk about what he's seeing, because how's he feeling when he sees these two legs down? Is this something he's looking at, or is he not? So you want to get into the head of the trader, really, and he's the most experienced Pats trader we know. I mean, he's the big chief, and so it would be lovely just to listen to him talk as he's seeing a chart in real time. In fact, I'm not on his website at the moment. I've had a couple of years, but I'm not at the moment. So somebody drop him an email and ask him to do it just once. Trade the chart and just not trade for money or whatever. I know it's cheeky asking him to not make money, but just on a sim, if anything, just to talk about what he's seeing and how he's feeling and what what's going on in his brain. How is he working this scenario out? It would help every. Oh, absolutely. I don't think he realises how much it would help us all. But yeah, so someone drop him an email and ask him if he'd be good enough to do that. So, wrong chart. So, yeah, have a look at this. I'll put that channel, see if something pans out. Excuse me, just for a quick minute. Sorry about that. That was the wife, otherwise known as the boss. I understand his point of view on his reviews, even though I vehemently disagree with it. Yeah. Chris Lads, did you say earlier you could take money after 6k? Yeah, I think you got to get $6,500 profit, and then you can take 3,000, which leave 3,500. So I've had a problem before as well. Sometimes if you're trading different amount of contracts on different accounts, I've made a mistake doing that before. So I ummed and ahed about this, whether to keep this 250 account. So I thought I'm going to go for a trade, go for a couple of thousand points in a trade, 5 contracts, and if I get lucky, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'll bin it. And that my luck was just as it is, so it went. But I picked up 2 more evaluations, so tomorrow I'll have 20 50k ones, so it's much easier. I'll just trade 10 10 on the ES and 10 on the CL. I won't trade 10 on the CL straight away. I'll just maybe just trade one account or something just to get a feel for it. But it works most, the same as every other chart. Other people trading it and seem to, but just for a week or so, I'll just trade. I might trade it. I'll just trade one account on it, 2 contracts, and I may up it to 2 or 3. We'll see. Oh, sorry. Yes. I thought you meant before you take money. Yeah, you've got to hit $15,000 to pass it, and then when you go on to PA, you've got to hit $6,500 of profit before you can withdraw 3,000. So it's quite a bit more. I mean, it's a massive amount, 15,000 to get for a start, isn't it? In all honesty, when are you ever going to trade more than 10 accounts with a 50k account? So some people might think it's a good idea. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I mean, the one thing about getting up to 6.5 before you take out 3 is you've still got 3,500 in there. So this is interesting. There's a bit of a failure on this. We've had the channel with a break. Is there something wider there? There's a second entry long there, which it's actually a failure. We've got a little push there and up, so it's a failure. I wouldn't take this short though. I'm just wondering, is there a wider channel there? There may be a spike in a channel there. Maybe. Don't know what anybody thinks of that. Maybe a spike in a channel. Same again, it doesn't throw me with comfort looking at it. Okay, excuse me just for a quick minute. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be a second. Okay, sorry about that. Right, let's just have a look here. Is there a larger channel working there? quite possibly. It's alright, I'm just thinking we've got a channel down. I was just thinking if we can get a second entry short here. So that's possible. Let's have a quick look on the daily. That's the daily. So ignore that. So we got a big bearish bar there. Did that? Yeah, with a stem. So we pushed up the bearish bar. We've triggered above there. So we could come down. We could have one leg, two legs down here. After this, we've actually made a new high. So it's interesting to see we've broken above that bullish bar. So could this we clearly made a new high from this anyway, so there could be a big bearish bar, it could be a lower high here, and that could take us down to this sort of 28 area. So that's interesting. So there is a possibility of a bigger channel down there and a bigger channel, maybe something like that there. If you get the 280 area, that's sort of down here somewhere, so that's interesting. Could be completely wrong, but it's nice to know what's possible. So the fact that it's triggered above there, see, I wouldn't take a long here because it's way far from the EMA. So we've pushed up. It's almost like triggered longs in. May I say this? Sometimes it looks like it's sucking longs in. You get a semi-bullish bar there. That sucks you in. If you don't get in there, it breaks above there, starts to go up, and you think, oh, I'm going to miss this, and all of a sudden it starts to drop. I'm not saying it's going to, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did continue down. There is a slight bias. We've got a leg and a few attempts to go higher. So I'll have to keep an eye on this. Yeah, see, I've got the NQ like this. Touch. Not sure about this, but if it is, we're losing momentum here, so we could get a leg and a leg. I'm not sure about this. You could say there's a spike in channel and maybe... Let's look at that CL chart at the moment. I'm not sure about this channel. It looks like we're capping off there. There is a higher low there, but it's gone a bit far and it's way too far from that EMA, and it has triggered, so could come below there. So I'm not sure about that going up for me. I'm a bit on the fence here. Sometimes it's just hard to tell, really. Okay, see if we get a lower high here. I like the fact that we've come in, we've pushed above this, we've broken below it. Let's see if we come back. It's definitely a bearish feel to this, I think. Let's put that there. And just put it there. No, actually, we'll get rid of it. Hope we're going to get another little bar and then a bearish one. So I'm looking at this on the NQ. We've had a break. We've made a couple of attempts. Now this has triggered that. We could get a bearish move there and down. I'm not sure about this channel. Could end up being something just like this. With a break. A couple of pushes up to a new high. It just looks like the type of bar that gets going to get trapped to me, that is. Break. Two pushes up to a new high. Could go up, but I'm just not sure about this. So, I want that to push above there. Okay, we've broken above there, so that's I think what I might start doing as well from Monday is extending my trading day. There's just not a lot of trades, so what I might do is I usually finish around about 5:30. I might just take an hour to have some dinner with my family and then come back for maybe an hour and a half after, because sometimes there's a lot of trades you miss out. Sometimes you get a big move. So it just might be the case if there's not a lot set up. I mean, if I manage to get a trade, then I'll just maybe finish at my normal time, but I might start just extending my trading day a little bit. Yeah, that channel up now on that CL might not look too bad now. Trouble is, it's only hit it twice, so it hasn't really confirmed it as a channel. I did consider that. Maybe that doesn't look that bad. It's a bit hard to say at the moment. I'm a bit on the fence. Just keep an eye on that. Okay, leg and a leg. It's just nothing there, really. I'll just put that there just to see if this comes into contact with that line. We've got a touch and a touch from this first section here and here, so there may be something larger. I'm not sure. There is like a bias feel, a downward bias for it. Sort of got this kind of two legs of leg, a little bit of sideways, a couple of attempts higher, maybe pick up this line and then down again. The daily says it certainly can come down, but I'm just not sure at the moment. Yeah, see, on that CL, if you think it's a range, there is a lower high there. But I'm just not sure what I'm seeing really at the moment. There is an upward bias to it, but just not wrapped with it. Just nothing really. Nothing really tells me much. There is a lower high, but we're obviously moving up, so unless it's a break above this or an overshoot, although it is a small bar, very small bar, I'm just not sure what's going on. So nothing I can do there. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I don't think there's anything on the NQ that resembles any type of a channel, so leg down to, that's a tempting looking bearish bar there. Oh dear. Dropped and then pushed back up. Oh, it's very tempting. Oh, it's just changed last minute, isn't it? Seems to be some selling there. Channel down, one attempt to go, second attempt to go higher. It's a bit congested. Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do there. Did kind of look like if that was bearish, he come tumbling down. But I've got this based on the fact that that's line there. And it's funny, it went above that line and then dropped. But then sort of came down and then pulled back a bit. So I'm just not taking anything here. I mean, that line could be wrong. I'm just putting it there just out of interest. We sort of leg down sideways, break which failed. 2 legs up. Is this going to fail? It's hard to say at the moment, but there was some selling up here because we quickly dropped. So whether this will do the same or not, I might have it completely wrong, see. Let's ditch that. See, that's interesting on that NQ. You got some support up here. We've hit that, pushed above it a little bit, and then sold. So I don't know whether this is turning more of a range. I'm not sure about this. Art data read actually. If that is a channel, it would make sense to come down and break the lows. Just not sure though at the moment. It's hard to read today. It's very choppy. You've got to be really careful. Kane, how you doing, bud? Trading drawdown of your P account. What was the trading drawdown of your P account? Depends which P account, but it's a $50,000 account. The drawdown is $2,500. $2,500. $2,500. But it's what I've got. 50k accounts. Just looking on this NQ a minute. Not sure whether this is mainly on a range. We kind of had a spike in channel there. Just not so sure about that. Went up to the top there and rejected, so I don't know whether we are making range tops. Just not a fan of this. It kind of works, but I just don't like the look of it. So leg down there, one attempt to go higher. Are we going to trigger above this bullish bar and then come down? Okay, it's alright. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm getting dead thirsty. I'm going to put that up there. So, leg down, 2 attempts to go higher. Yeah, it's hard to see what's going on here. There was a second entry long on the CL. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. I have put the bigger channel on there, but no, there isn't really. You can't class these because they haven't broken down there. Not only that, we got a little channel there. So it's just nothing you can take here, really. You could get a leg trigger and a leg. I'm not even a massive fan of that channel. That is working, but I'm just not sure. You on about here or you on about? I just don't know what this is doing at the moment. I don't like the channel. It's quite steep, but it's quite wavy and whippy. I mean, if it comes up here and then comes back to here, you got a little bit different. Yeah, let me just reload my historic on here, see if that changes it. Yeah, so just quickly that. We've got a leg down with a break. One attempt, second attempt. There's a little bullish bar there, which is triggered, so we're going to get down here. We've come off the possible tops here, so this could come down here. Let's have a look. There's nothing I'd take here, really. Personally. They look any different, do they? Yes, a bit hard to read. Got the first day I got these out, I thought, man, this is going to make me a fortune. And it's been a bit hard since. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break, make a quick cup of coffee, and I'll be about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. Right, sorry about that. I had to put my duvet in the dryer. Bloody dog threw up on it this morning. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a hard start today. Sorry, mate, missed a few comments here. Mine changed after read it. Oh, I got you. Okay, NQ. Markets trade. How you doing, buddy? NQ wants 18950. Yeah, it seems to be. I got this as a spiking channel. It kind of sort of fits, doesn't it? It is a bit sort of whippy today, isn't it? It's quite lots of stems and whippy, but yeah, it's a harder chart to read. Everything is today. I mean, that is, isn't it? Look, it's very barcodey, isn't it? It's hard to trade this, really. It's hard to trade that. When we push above this, we came back in, but there's no real setup. Now, I asked if we wanted a payout. We need profit of $2,600 and our... yeah, okay, yeah. Correct, yeah. So your trading drawdown stops at $50,100, and if you take $2,000, theoretically, you're left with $500. So you ain't got a lot of room for manoeuvre. But what I would say is if it's your first payment or your first few payments, I would probably take the 2,000 because there's a nice moral victory about it for starters, and you can, maybe get an extra P8. So initially, yeah, I think it's good to get a payment. It does make you feel good. Because chances are, if it's your first one, you're probably going to lose it. I certainly would have done. I think most traders would say their first payment, if they wouldn't have taken it, they may have lost it. Only you can really answer that one. But yeah, if it is your first payment, I would say, yeah, take it. Enjoy the money. Get a bit of, enjoy the nice feeling of getting somewhere out of it. So there is a possible second entry long here. My slight concern with it at the moment is we're at the top. I'm not sure whether there's a range here. Let me have a look. Okay, so we might have a leg and a leg, and that may go further then. But we've been up here once before. We pushed above there and then came down quite rapidly. So there may be two legs back and along there, which kind of would fit into there. Trouble is there's some support along there, so do I want to go along into there? There's the bottom of this range for a start, and there is some support there, whichever way you look at it. There's a little triple top there, so we've been up here once. We might make a couple of attempts and drop again. It's too far from the EMA for me. If it was down here somewhere, the body was sat there, I may have considered it. There could be a channel up there. But going long here, you're 2/3 of the way into the channel anyway. Even if it is, it may not go up much further. So for me at the moment, I'm just sitting tight. It is whippy and it's easy to get chopped up. So just at the moment, I'm staying there heavy, sitting on my hands. No trade, no. Hey Tech, how you doing? To pass the... Yeah, you got to see. I had $2,500, $250,000 one, but I thought about it over the weekend. You got to get to 6,500. So I always wanted just a 50Ks. It was just a bit of a novelty. So I thought what I'd do is I'd take a risk on it. And I can't remember when I went long or short. I thought I'll put a big move in, put a big stop in, and go for like $2,000, which is just under 1/3 of what you need. So it would fit in with a 30% rule. I thought if it's meant to be and I get lucky on the move, then I'll keep the accounts. And if it's not meant to be and it goes against me, then I'll just get the 250s. So I did. So it went against me. So at least now, come tomorrow, I'll have 20, 50K accounts. At least I can stop buying evaluations, at least for the time being anyway, because I've had a ton of them. I've had over 500, about 530, I think. Although I know people have had over 1,000. No, a guy's had over 1,200. Nutty's had over 500 himself. I think even Watson, who's quite a sort of strictish trader, he's done 350 Alpine. So, but I just threw my money at it. I did out of pure frustration. But you're at 700, are you? It is surprising. You know what? It's nice to. Trouble is, you always think it's you. You always think I'm the one that can't control myself. And what you forget to realise is when there's lots of you, and you start talking to the people, you realise you're all in the same boat. You all go through those same emotions, and we all act the same when we panic. We make daft decisions, and it's part of life. You know, the human brain really isn't designed to be a trader. It's not. It's not. You're 128, no payout yet. I can't remember how many I got when I got my first payout. In all fairness, my first payout, there was a lot of luck involved. I think it's fair to say. I may have been on 200. I can't remember. But what I'll say to you, and I've said this before, is if you went to university in the UK, let's say, for instance, you were going to be a teacher. Okay. Now, teachers in the UK, I'd say, are probably on about somewhere around an average of 30 to £35,000 per year. Now, if you went to university for 3 years, you would pay £10,000, not dollars. That's pound per month. Per month would be pricey, per year. So a 3-year degree in the UK would cost you over £30,000. That doesn't include books and materials. And if you're at a university away from home and you've got accommodation, you're looking at a second entry short, are you? Yeah, I'm not sure about this, bud. I know there's some... What's it there? So for me at the moment, I think this for me is still probably going up. And looking at this at the moment, there could be a leg and then up. So I'm not sure about that. How you doing, Chad? Lower high after the second entry. Yeah, it is a second entry long. What nerves me is these three tops here. So it's hard to say. I'd like a lower high here somewhere. That would put that in danger. So I think that's a risk. But that's me. So what was I saying? Yeah, so, it would cost you £30,000. I think I've put total now 27,000 into it over the last 3.5 years. So all I've really done is paid for education, exactly the same as what happens when you take a degree. So I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in a career. And let's face it, as a trader, you're going to make a damn sight more money than a teacher. Teacher in the UK, I mean, are severely underpaid, I think. I know they don't work, sort of 8 to 6 massive long hours, and they get holidays, but, I'm pretty sure if there's a teacher, he's probably going to say, yeah, but we got to mark books. And yeah, I granted, but it's about 35 grand in the UK. It's not a lot, really. It really isn't. Lorry drivers are earning more than that. So really, the money you're investing in yourself, you're paying for an education, really. And you have to buy the psychological side. You can't get used to that psychological side of trading without it costing you money. It's impossible. So if you are putting money in your, like I say, I've put 530. Tech 700 odd. There was loads over 700 and 800. Yeah. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, teachers in the UK, yeah. So let's say 30 grand. So that's probably about $38,000. It's crap, really, isn't it? Considering you go to university for 3 years, it is poor. And as I say, as a lorry driver, you'll earn 30 grand a year as a lorry driver, and more in some cases. Just quickly on that NQ, there is a second entry long, but it is a bit congested here. Is it going to work? Maybe. My slight concern is we've come off the tops. So I wouldn't be taking a long here. It's clearly congested. It's not forming, I don't think, anyway. So this may come down a bit more, and that's why I never got into that trade there. for me, it's too far from that EMA. This bar, for me, needs to be sat here. May work, but it's just, it's a bit risky, that is. Who's in it? Are you in that, Chad? I hope I'm wrong, mate. But my fear is these three tops here. Now, you may get lucky. We may trap some shorts here. But what I will say is we know there's some support along there. You can see it there. Excuse me a sec. Yeah, it's going sideways now anyway, but it may work. In fact, it's probably a good idea it's trapped that short. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. But yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? I'm just unsure as whether, you know, a couple of attempts we're bouncing off the top and we're coming down, or we're going up. I'm a bit unsure about it all. It's just probably the messiest day for a while, I think, isn't it? We have had some awful days, but I think lately, the last sort of couple of weeks, we've had low volume. If that breaks above there, if anybody did get in there, it's a bit too far from that EMA for me, really. That needs to, the bottom of that needs to be sat on that EMA if I'm going to take a trade here. But we know there is support along there, and you can see it there. So going along into that just makes it more risky. Need to break the channel, 2250 and 28. Yeah, we do. But yeah, I mean, 35 grand in the UK, that should be easy as a trader. You're going to make way more than that as a trader. Obviously depends on, you know, how long it takes you, but I would have said a few years, 3 to 4 years, and you work at it, you're likely to be making money, I think, at that time. I'd say so. Depends how many hours you put in, but I'd definitely say you're going to be earning money at that stage. Obviously, depends how you look at it. If you look upon this as a part-time thing, that you may put an hour in of knowledge per week and maybe 3 or 4 hours a week on the charts, it's going to take you a lot longer. You could say there's a triple test there, but the fact that it's triggered it and pushes up would concern me about taking that. And it may work, but that to me is a risky trade because it's so far, and sometimes these risky positions get taken out. But the way that's triggered that short and pushed up, it may be lucky getting in there. Okay, it's broken above there. So that is looking like a channel. It's just hard to trade this stuff, really. I mean, there is a failure there, you've trapped shorts, but if there is a channel, you're 2/3 or nearly 3/4 of the way to the top. So going along there is just even riskier. Doesn't mean it can't work. Yeah, another thing that takes time with this as well is getting used to the quick decisions. I found I used to be jittery, I did, on the edge of my seat, and it does. I have calmed down over time. But it does take time, but you will get there. My belief is, I mean, there's a massive failure rate, and in my opinion, it's not down to lack of capability. It's just down to lack of not being able to put up with all the shit. If you can put up with it and keep coming back, my opinion is you'll make money at this. It's certainly doable, but there is a lot of failure involved, and you know, I've failed 530 evaluations. It's quite a lot of failure when you're learning a job. There's not many jobs I can say where you fail that many bloody times. So I understand why a lot of people give up this, because it ain't for everyone. Some people, you've got to be a bit obsessive. You've got to really want this to be able to put up with it, because it's very easy to walk away. I'm a bit pig-headed like that. I'm a bit lucky. I can seem to take it on the chin, feel like crap for a few days, and I come back. I think it's just the way I am. I'm a bit lucky. But I absolutely get people who can't put up with it, because it does change you a little bit. It does affect your mood. And it can make you feel really down at times. Really down. It's up quickly, buying 20 emails time. Certainly flipping does, mate. Certainly does. So I would say to a new person, once you start having to go evals, stick to one. Do one until you can get paid. But it's so hard to get it through your head, because I was exactly the same. Because you think it's easier than it is, because you win a few trades, even when you're experienced. Sometimes winning quite a few can have the opposite effect. You can get very confident. But yeah, if I could tell myself, if I was going to give some advice to my family member, I would say spend 1.5 years on a sim, and then the next 1.5 years on an evaluation, because you obviously need that exposure to the psychological side. It's the only way you're going to get past that is to be exposed with it. And unfortunately, to expose yourself to get that feeling, you have to have risk. And unfortunately, risk equals money. But the beauty about life's made easier for us to a degree by the prop firms, because, I wouldn't have had enough money even if you trade, one contract, you still got to put $500 into an account. And the trouble is, while you go on tilt, you'll soon wipe that out. So much better to wipe a $15 or $16 evaluation out than your own money. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it was my own money. But prop firms have given us the opportunity to get that time and get that exposure without it costing you a fortune, because it certainly could. When I first learned to trade from a guy called Andrew Lockwood, now this guy had worked for Citibanks all over the world. In fact, before he started working from home with his own pot, he was in Singapore, trading over in Singapore. And he was a very experienced trader, worked on the trading floor of the London Stock Exchange for years. And he told me he lost 100,000 of his own money having to learn to trade again. Because obviously when you're trading in the pits, you don't look at trading, patterns and bars like this. It's a completely different. So if you've got a big budget, you're going to lose a lot more. If you've got a small budget, you're going to lose a lot less. Just quickly looking at this NQ at the moment, we're definitely finding some support up here, but we could have a leg down and a leg down and push up some more. Is this thing going to go higher? It could get up to here. We could have a leg, and then up we go. So I think at the moment this is still erring on the side of bullish at the moment. This is for me. But we have been up here, so it could turn. But it looks like a channel. It's a very wicky channel. But if we can get a little drop there and a bullish bar, leg and a leg, we may get a bit higher. So at the moment, for me, the NQ is erring on the side of bullish. And I think you have to say the same for this. We have got support there, but it's slowly grinding, isn't it? But how long for? And could it turn? But yeah, you can soon get through evaluations. As I say, one night, you guys know I like Singer Multi. I was on the stream once, and I think it was Friday, and I cracked open a bottle of, what was it? It was a bottle of 12-year-old Balvenie. Probably the most expensive bottle I've ever bought, which was about £50 UK, which is not a huge amount for whiskey, but for me. And I cracked it open, and someone in the background said they'd been watching the stream but never said any, but they heard the cork pop and it pricked their ears up. So I had a little drink on the chart, and then I continued to have a few more. And to cut a longer story short, after about 2 hours, I drank about nearly a third of the bottle and blown 10 PA accounts, 10 evaluations, one after another. So I've traded. I got to say, when you're trading and when you've had a drink, it actually does calm the nerves. But it doesn't work. So what are we doing here? So yeah, you do all kinds of weird and wonderful and wacky, stupid things in your career. You do, but it's all during that process to trade that mindset. We get a leg and a leg. Let's see how this. I mean, we could. There is support along there, really. So you could even say, really, that's the range tops, and that's a failed breakout. But we've got a leg and a leg, so we could try a bit higher. But I'm a bit unsure. I wouldn't know whether to want to go long here or just sit it out. It's that little spike in a channel. It's hard to say. I don't think it matters really anyway. We're clearly sort of whipping up and down sideways at the minute. Oh, excuse me a sec. Okay, right, let's have a look at this. So, is this a trap or is this going to go up? We've got a leg down and another leg. So, leg and a leg. Let's see how this finishes. I'm not getting involved anyway. Well, this is NQ for a start, but if you think this is a channel, we're losing momentum a bit, aren't we? So I'd expect a break, which we've had. So is that going to go up or is it going to trigger and come down further? I'm not getting involved anyway. Yeah, that CL chart is looking certainly slightly bullish, but there's nothing I can see that would encourage me to get into a trade. A little break, new high, came back again. Nothing there really, because you're going into this. You can't take a short really, because we're going up. So there's nothing really. We had a channel with a break, 2 pushes up to new high. I don't know whether you've been interested in that. You may do. It's gone too far for a lower high really, but I think if the signal's right and you're confident, a little bit of a range with a break out of it. So it's just not a huge amount on this. That's fine. All I'm really after is a trade a day, and whether I get it on. I've got 1 or 2 charts to trade them, so having that CL chart certainly gives me a second option anyway. Okay, so that little failed breakout is worked. Leg and a leg and a bullish bar. Little break. It's clearly pushed up. It's clearly 2 legs down. A little bit of range-ish, little breakout. Unfortunately, there's just nothing here for us. Nothing at all. Can't take that. That one was risky. I don't think you'd have got much from that. If you'd have took it a tick above there, you'd have squeezed a point out of that at a push. You've got to push through it, so you'd have got a point out of that. And if you didn't take a point, it would have come down and stopped you out. Same again. Tops like this, it's just risky going in there. If this is a channel, you're nearly at the top of the channel anyway, so if it does go up, it ain't going to go much further before it quite likely comes back to here. Unfortunately, just nothing here really, and then it takes off. Some days we have days like this where it just doesn't seem to do a lot, just whips around. Yeah, what I'm going to do from Monday, folks, is I'm going to stop trading around about 5:30 UK time and come back at 6 o'clock and trade for another hour and a half, because there's not a lot of trades around at the moment. And I used to feel 3 hours was enough, but I feel perfectly calm now when it comes to 3 hours. I think if anything, it's more boredom why I want to get away, because it's chopping, but yeah, I've got no issues. I can come back and trade. Doesn't tire me out or anything. So it's a shame, really. I got 2 charts to trade, and if I can't find nothing in 3 hours, might as well come back. So yeah, so from Monday, I'll just stop my trade. I'll let the stream run in case that guys, you guys can chat amongst yourself if you want, and I'll come back after an hour and trade for another hour and a half. So I'll do that from Monday. Sometimes I look at the charts later and I see Thomas Wade taking his setup, and I'm thinking I never saw that. And it turns out it's later when I've finished. So this is interesting. We've got up to the top there and then dropped. So we've had this little 2 legs down, a little breakout which fell, pushed up to the top. A few ticks above it, touched this top area and then dropped. So we've had a break. We haven't made a new high, but I don't think that's really important. It's the same again, so hard to trade. You don't know it's going to do that. Push above this, so that really you would say is an overshoot, unless you got this channel from the bottom, in which case it's not, but it does look like a spike in channel. We got a touch, a few touches there, in the top, so I think it's likely it is. So that overshoot clearly worked. Trouble is with overshoot, sometimes it'll come down, tick, go higher, and then drop. It doesn't necessarily just drop unless you get a lower higher of failure, and then it may. Certainly enough to make something, but it just turned in it. I noticed Marco on Friday never marked a trade, so no wonder he's trading this CL. People are noticing that there's not a lot of setups. Just keeping in mind, folks, that 90% off finishes on 3 days, I think. Let's have a look. There we today. Finishes on Friday. And then we will move to something else. I don't know what. We may go back to the 80% off. We may go to the 71. We seem to have had really good discounts, because they said they weren't going to be doing the 90% off a while back. And then we've had it for about a month, or best part of a month. So let's just have a quick squint at this again. So we've had this, what looks like a spike and channel. We've had a leg and a leg. As that started pushing up there, there's going to be traders thinking we're pushing up long, so it's triggered them and then come straight down. So it looks like if they've gone long after this, it's trapped some traders. So we've hit this. We've been up here once. We've hit it again. So are we now going to work down? It's so hard to read today because it's very whippy and it's not showing much direction. But if we break below here, nice push up, lovely 2 legs down, it's pushed up. If we break below here, I think we're either going to range or come down lower. So clear overshoot and then straight down. $22.50 is the line in the sand. Not far away, are we there? This thing's flickering, which is indicating to me it may come down. $22.50. That's down here, isn't it? Tough read today, in all fairness. It probably is just a range day. Yeah, it is, isn't it? We've pretty much, with the exception of that first couple of pushes up and this drop, we've pretty much been working in that area, haven't we? It's 14 points actually. It's quite a small. Well, it's enough to be able to trade, isn't it? But there's not a huge amount of trades really. Well, there's nothing I can see that, given my time again, would interest me. Hard to trade that. Then we just drop. Same again, whipping. No higher low there or anything. Trapping that long. A couple of leg down, sideways, down, up, sideways. We got a little bit of sideways and then we had a sort of breakout there which pushed straight through. So I don't know whether you'd have taken that one. It actually is a second entry long. You'd expect that with that rejection to get back to the EMA, wouldn't you? So that might not have been a terrible trade. Then straight down, straight up, nothing there. There's nothing in here really that you can take because it is sideways. There's no second entries really. That was a second entry, but it went up for a point. You got to push through, so it went up for a point. So I wouldn't take that too close to these eyes. Not that if it is the channel, you want to be taking them at the bottom of the channel, not 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to the top. So that wouldn't. Nothing there really. Straight up, straight down. There's nothing really. Now, someone else's channel might be ever so slightly different. See, for instance, that bar there. If that had broke a tick above there, second entry. You might, sometimes people draw their charts slightly different. Marco's chart. Oh, is it? So I hope he starts to put out the CL. So yeah, I've seen some trades. Let's have a look. Well, these are not trades he necessarily takes. So we looked at that one. We discussed that one earlier, didn't we? We came down here a couple of times to the middle. We pushed up. There was a big bullish bar by a higher low, triggered, came down. So that's one that would have interested me. I don't know why I didn't take it. I was looking at something at the time, but that's one there. That one, just too far from the top, I wouldn't have taken. But I don't think these are trades he's necessarily taken, but there's just 2 a day. That one I wouldn't have done. That one I think was okay. We did mention it was a little bit congested, but as Max says, as long as you can read what's going on, and that's readable, we're clearly bouncing off this. We've had that leg down. It's very likely we're going to get another leg down. But the fact that we got a big bullish bar there, we've only come down to about here, not to the bottom. Big bullish bar, higher low, triggered. It's going to trap some long traders, that is. I think there's a fair chance this is coming down to the bottom. So that, I think, was a good trade. That one, just a bit... It's hard to say, really. It didn't trap. It didn't break above there for me, and I'd want this a bit higher if I was going to take it, but it worked. Whether he traded that one I think he probably took, I don't know. But I know he marks some of these trades, but he doesn't always take them. But he's a good trader, Marco. He helped me out a lot when I started. Marco and Daniel and a few others. Jope as well. You don't hear a lot from Jope anymore, but I had some nice conversations with him. And if you're willing to learn and you put your chart out and ask for some, if you're new, I used to put my chart out every day without fail for probably a year and a half and ask for feedback, and it does help you. So what time are we coming up to? 3 hours, so I'm going to finish soon. But as from Monday, I am going to come back after an hour for another hour and a half. It's a shame, really, when we got plenty of the day, really. See, if I finish it, if I come back at 6:30 UK time, it's only 1:30 in the afternoon US Eastern time. See, so there's still at least a couple of good hours left. So that's unless I get a trade. If I can get a trade in, then I'm all right with that. But it just seems a shame to walk away when there's lots of the, as long as it's not affecting me. I'm not too tired or stressed, but I'm quite calm when I trade now. It doesn't affect me like it used to. Yeah, CL's been slow as well today. Okay, leg down, big bearish bar, but you just can't really go short here. Still very choppy. It's still easy to get. It's easy to get into trouble. Yeah, so that's that trade Marco took there. It is sideways and congested, but we did talk about that. The fact that we've come from the bottoms to the tops. We've only come down a couple of times there and a couple of times there at the bottom. We got a big bullish bar with a higher low, guaranteed leg up. There's going to be some longs in there, and when it got below there, came down pretty quick. You'd have got your money there. So yeah, that's the only reason I'd take something like that. If you take that down a bit, that'd probably be a better place. It looks better there. I wouldn't, after this push down and a couple of legs up, I probably wouldn't pay attention to that. The best, I think Marco's got it up here or something, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only really 4 touches. You may argue there's 5 touches there. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In all fairness, I think there's probably a little bit more if you come down to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 touches there, and that looks way more attractive. The only slightly downside is there's still plenty of room to those lows. You'd have got 2 points out of that. So that looks better now. So if you get in 1 tick below there, even if you went for 6 ticks, but yeah, you'd expect that to come down after trapping them longs. So that was okay actually. I didn't see it at the time. I think I was focusing on the NQ. I had the NQ chart in, so pretty much a range day really with the we had that big drop, didn't we? Then with a couple of legs up and then another drop, and then since around about 10:30 UK time, we've just been going sideways really. Up here a bit, then down here a bit, and then sort of somewhere in the middle. So it's only really, it's gone too far for a lower high, so it's just a channel with a break. It's risky taking those. Even those, yeah. You know, I have a good idea sometimes where I think these are going to go, but whenever I decide then to get into a chart and break the rules, it's when I get caught out. So if it's not a setup, I just don't take it anymore. I used to, all the time. Sometimes it'd work, but sometimes it'd punish you. And they're the times that I used to go on tilt. So I just don't even bother now. If it's not a setup, I don't even take it. At least that way I can say to myself in my own mind that it was a setup and I took it. But if I know I really should have stayed out of it, they're the ones that you got to stay away from. Otherwise, they can send you over the edge. Okay, folks, that's me for the day. I've done my 3 hours. As I say, from Monday, I'll let the stream go. We just put a little note on here, back in an hour, and I'll come back. And I want to start trading for an extra hour and a half. I'm barely getting any trades at the moment, although I have introduced this CL today, which I am trading on a chart. There's just not a lot of setups around. I mean, this today is just a poor day, with the exception of that one, I think. You may have had a go at that. Some may mark that. It's kind of 2 legs up. But there's still plenty of the day left, so as long as I'm not too tired or not, I feel perfectly fine. I could sit here all day. But yeah, so as from Monday, I will start trading for an extra hour and a half in the evening. So, well, evening UK time. So I'll sit here till now, take an hour for me dinner, and then I'll come back for another hour and a half. It's a shame, really, to not bother. But there's just not a lot of setup, so you're going to put some more hours in. So that's it for today, folks. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. I hope you get a setup. But failing that, have a great evening, stay safe, and I will be back same time tomorrow. Bye for now. Thanks for the comments.